Hello, my name is Muincat and welcome to my video on strategies for the St. Patrick's Day event. In this video I will go over a bunch of different strategies ranging from very chill 3 to 5 town strategies where you simply want to minimize the effort while still getting the full Celtic Farmstead, and then all the way up to 17 town strategies where your goal is to get as many rewards as possible. In this video I will also go over how you can actually get a lot of Druid Temple selection kits, possibly even one full Druid Temple for free in addition to the Celtic Farmstead. So in this video I will go over 3 things. I will go over some basic concepts when it comes to strategies. I will go over these minimizing effort strategies, and I will go over these maximizing rewards strategies. Now, this video assumes that you are familiar with the event and how it works, so if you're not, I would recommend watching my previous video where I go over how this event works, how the minigame works, and if you're interested, I also have some other videos that you might find helpful for the event. And finally, before I begin, this content takes quite a long time to make, so if you find it helpful, please leave a like and a comment and share it with your friends and guildmates. It really helps me out. Alright, let's start by looking at some basic concepts when it comes to strategies. So for the Celtic Farmstead, you get 3 levels from milestones, from quest milestones. You get 1 if you have the event surprise box, and then you have the 2 main ways of getting further upgrade or selection kits. You get upgrade kits from grand prizes, and here you get one every 3rd grand prize, and you also get one if you buy all 6 boxes after a town. So these 2 are the main ways of getting additional kits for the main building, and different strategies will differ where you get these. So for some strategies you get more from grand prizes, others you get more from after town rewards, and many a mix between the 2. Now in terms of pots of gold, you will have 11,200 for free, but you will also get a lot from incidents and the newsletter if you are signed up for that and if you pick up incidents. Last year I got 1,250 pots from incidents and 500 from newsletter, so in total probably somewhere around 12 to 13,000 pots. And one thing I recommend doing, at least if you're going for a lot of towns, is completing quests quickly. You want to do that so that you have a bank of the pots you can spend. At least for the first couple of towns, it really helps having a few extra pots in case you need to spend them. So as usual, I have my what I call cheat sheet here, where you can see what I consider the challenging quests, or the ones that you need to plan ahead for. So all the production quests, for example, acquire some sectors and so on. So here you can find those, or you can find a full list on the wiki, fandom wiki, if you want to look at that. I usually use this as well, so very helpful there, so you can use that if you want. And then, yeah, let's move on to strategies. One thing that is important is manager levels. Here you want to maximize the number of tasks you can complete, and also think a little bit about how fast you can get through the town, but you also want to minimize the number of pots you spend on managers. So for that, I recommend these levels here. This is a good compromise in my opinion. It does mean that you can't complete all tasks, but I would not recommend completing all tasks anyways. And also these manager levels are also available in my spreadsheet. In my building upgrade plan, you can find them here. On the main page, you can find them here. So yeah, you can find them here as well if you use my spreadsheet instead of the website. And you'll also find them in my previous event guide and my previous video. Anyways, with those managers, you will be able to complete up to 36 tasks, but I would only recommend doing 33, 32, and 32 tasks in the 3 towns. That means skipping these tasks here. And you can see 2 of these in each town is for upgrading managers. But the remaining ones I consider too slow to complete. Now some of them you can definitely complete. So all of these collect shamrocks ones, they are quite possible to complete. For example, if you can't finish in the evening and have to wait for the morning, you will have time to complete these. But if you want to move on immediately when you get 8.4 quadrillion shamrocks, then you have to skip these as well. So that's definitely up to you. And some of these last ones, they are possible to complete if you take it really slow. But this one, for example, I think takes 3 days or something like that if you have a level 200 hats factory. So yeah, some of these are very slow and I recommend skipping those unless I specify that. Now I already showed this in my spreadsheet. This is my building upgrade plan. I made this last year. I have updated it slightly this year, but it's more or less the same. And personally, I think this is probably one of the more useful things that you can get from my content. I used it last year. I used it this year on beta, and honestly, it is a big help. This basically tells you in which order I recommend upgrading your buildings. So you start off with leveling festivals and shipyard to level 1 and hats to 25. Then you move on to festival and shipyard to level 10 each. And when you have 2 of these at the same time, you should upgrade those simultaneously. Although if you do one and then the other, not a big deal. And then one final thing is that when you have the tasks where you need to upgrade buildings a certain number of times, you can see where I recommend doing these for the different towns. So yeah, I really think this is the most useful thing you'll get out of me this year. So yeah, go check that out if you want. You will find the link in the description. You can also find a link here. And yeah, it's the second tab in my spreadsheet. And one small thing about this spreadsheet, if you want to use it yourself, you need to go to File, either download to Excel or make a copy. Last year some people had an issue with Excel, so I would just make a copy and then you can use it. You will not gain access to it, that would just be chaos. Alright, so that's kind of the basics. Now let's move on to strategies. Let's start by looking at the minimizing effort strategies. Alright, let's first look at the 3-town strategy, what I call the super chill method. This is the absolute minimum effort you can spend while still getting the Celtic Farmstead fully leveled. But for this strategy, you do need to have the event surprise box. So if you don't, move down to the 5-town strategy. But for the 3-town strategy, it's very simple. You need to complete 3 towns using my recommended manager levels and building upgrade plans that I just went over. You need to complete 3 additional tasks compared to my recommendation. So that means that you either have to complete 3 of these, and if you do want to complete 3 of these, I would recommend completing this, this, and this. Or alternatively, you can start a 4th town and simply complete 3 tasks in that. Should only take a minute or 2. So both of those options work fine. But considering you have 1 week per town, you definitely have time to complete those 3 additional tasks in these towns. Now, you buy 6 out of 6 boxes after 3 towns, and after 1 of the towns, you buy 1 additional set of 6 boxes. That means that you get 4 upgrade kits or selection kits from the after town boxes. You get 3 from milestones and 1 from the surprise box, and then the final 2 ones from grand prizes. So you get 1 upgrade kit from grand prizes after 25 tasks and 100 tasks. So that's why you need 100. And in total that is 10, and this is the absolute minimum effort. You do need 360 additional pots from either incidents or newsletter. This is very easy to get. As I said, last year the newsletter was 500 pots, and I got over 1000 pots from incidents last year, so 360 is very easy to get. Then let's move on to the classic strategy. If you have the surprise box, this is very similar to this, but here you complete 4 towns, which is 1 per 5 days roughly. You still use my recommended manager and building upgrade plans, and here you also complete my recommended tasks. You don't have to do any additional ones. In fact, you will actually do 30 more than is required. You only need 100 tasks for those 2 upgrade kits. So here you get 1 extra grand prize, but this is the Sentinel outpost, so that's definitely something you would like to have. And you buy 6 out of 6 boxes after all 4 towns, which means you also get 4 upgrade kits or selection kits from the after town boxes, which is the same as for the 3-town strategy, but here instead of doing it from 3 towns and buying 1 additional set in 1, you buy 1 single set of 6 boxes after each town. So in terms of where you get your upgrade kits from, it's actually the same as for the previous strategy. And this one though, you do have 1000 spare pots, so here you will be underspending quite a lot. That means that you can use those spare pots to buy additional chests if you want beyond the 4 out of 4. Or if you want to, you could, and if you have some time, you could always complete 1 more town, get some more grand prizes, and then open some boxes after that. But if you don't really care about maximizing anything, you're probably fine just leaving some spare pots at the end. And also this means that you don't have to pick up any incidents if you don't want to do that. Now, if you don't have the surprise box, then you need to get 1 additional upgrade kit from grand prizes. Now, in order to do that, you need 175 tasks, which means you need to complete 5 towns with my recommended manager levels and so on. This will give you 162 tasks, so you need another 13 tasks. But this is very easy to do in a 6th town. It should be done in a couple of minutes. I don't know, under half an hour probably. Very quickly you can get all of these tasks, and that will bring you to 175, which is enough to get 3 upgrade kits from grand prizes. Here you have to buy 6 boxes after 4 towns, which means that 1 of the towns you will not buy all the 6 boxes, and by doing so you will get enough upgrade kits for the farmstead. You will get 3 from milestones. Here you don't have the surprise box, but you will still get 4 from the end of town rewards and 3 from grand prizes. Now this final town, you don't have to complete it, and in terms of managers, you only need these managers. That only costs 150 pots, so definitely not a lot. Here you will have a little bit, 160 spare pots. If you pick up incidents or newsletter, you will have some more, and these you can spend to buy some boxes after the town where you don't buy all 6 boxes. Or alternatively, if you want to, you could complete the final town as well. But yeah, you don't have to for the strategy. So that's the chill strategies, minimizing effort. Let's move on to what I call the speedrun strategies, where you want to maximize rewards. Now the main difference between these is the after town rewards. You might have noticed that in pretty much all of these, you might have noticed that in all of these strategies here, you have to buy 6 boxes after pretty much any town. And that means that when you complete a town, you get these 6 rewards here. That means that no matter which of these you get, you can't really choose. You will always get the ones that you are given. You will always get these options. But if you do more towns, that means you don't have to open 6 out of 6 boxes as many times. But you will also have spare pots, and these pots you can spend after some towns when a reward you want is one of these options. So say you want the Sentinel Outpost. In this image here, I did not get it as an option. So that means that I would simply skip this town and then move on to the next town and hopefully get the Sentinel there. And as I will go over in a minute, you can actually get up to 1 full Druid Temple fully leveled for free. And that's because of this change here. So on beta, if you don't know, the way these towns work is that you will get 1 of these items in each slot. So the first slot will have 1 of these items, the second slot will have 1 of these items, including the sentinels and so on. That's how it worked on beta, but this has been updated slightly for live server. You are now guaranteed to get 1 Druid Temple as one of the options. Now exactly how that is implemented we don't know. I would guess that they have removed 1 of these slots and always added the Druid Temple to that. So for example, if they removed this 5th slot here, removed these rewards here, and added the Druid Temple, that might be one way they've gone about it, but we don't know. But what we do know is that you will always get 1 Druid Temple as an option after the town. And that's how you can get the full Druid Temple, but I'll go over that in a moment. And also in this update, they said that the Celtic Forest selection kit will be more likely to get. So that's some positive changes if you want to get these rewards. Now that's the main reasons for doing these speedruns, so let's go over the details of how they work. I've made this table here where I go over kind of summarizing these different strategies. And the main thing is how many boxes do you get from 6 out of 6 boxes, or how many do you get from grand prizes. So for each of these towns here, you can see that the total number of tasks increases by 75. So that's for every 75 tasks you complete, you get one more upgrade kit for the farmstead from grand prizes. So that's where these numbers come from. So with the 7 town strategy, you will be picking up 4 upgrade kits from the grand prizes. You have 3 from milestones, which means you need another 3 additional upgrade kits. Here you can either get these 3 from boxes, or if you do have the surprise box, you only need to get 2 of these from boxes. So that means that of these 7 towns, you will only be opening all 6 boxes 3 or 2 times. And that means that in the end you will have spare pots. If you buy boxes 3 times, you will have around 450 spare pots. If you only buy it 2 times, you will have over 2,000 spare pots. And these pots you can use in the remaining 4 or 5 towns and buy some boxes up until the rewards you want. So if you want the Sentinel, if you get it as an option, you can spend pots until you get it, and when you've gotten it, you can continue to the next town. And that's where these strategies are good. Now moving up to the next strategy here, the 10 town one, you get 1 additional kit from the grand prizes, 5 here, which means you need 1 fewer from 6 out of 6 boxes, either 2 or 1 depending on if you have the surprise box or not. And this means that you will have more towns where you don't buy all boxes, and you will also have more spare pots. Here you will have 900 spare pots if you do not have the surprise box, and you will have close to 3,000 if you have the surprise box. So here, say you have the surprise box, you have 9 towns where you do not open 6 out of 6 boxes. And in these 9 towns, you can spend a total of 2,800 pots. And that's why these are so good. That's why I recommend doing these strategies. Now, these numbers here, these do not include pots you pick up from the newsletter or the incident. So in reality, if you do pick up those, you will have a lot more than this. So with a 10 town strategy, you will probably have closer to 4,000 spare pots if you have the event surprise box. So as you can see, you have a lot of spare, and these you can use after the towns. Now as you move up, you will get the fewer upgrade kits from 6 out of 6 boxes, or even none at all. Here you need to get all from grand prizes. And in some of these you will actually get additional kits, as you can see, depending on if you have the surprise box or not. Now my recommendation is that you aim high, that you start aiming high, that you start aiming for the 14 town strategy. The 17 town is a little bit excessive in my opinion, so I would start aiming for the 14 town strategy. But then if you need to buy 6 out of 6 boxes once, then you can move down 1 level. You can move down to the 12 town strategy, because all of these towns are the same when it comes to tasks and managers and so on. So it doesn't really matter, or you can easily move between these strategies. You can easily move down. You can also move up if you have the time remaining to complete the remaining towns. So I would start high, aim at 14, and then move down to 12 if you need to, and then move down to 10 if you need to. Now this is assuming that you don't care about getting a full Druid Temple. If you do want the full Druid Temple, as I'll go over shortly, you should do one of these towns. Before though, you will perhaps have noticed that for some of these towns you need additional tasks. And what I mean by that is that after completing these 7 towns, you will not have the full 250 total tasks. In this one you need another 23 tasks. For the 10 town strategy you do not need additional tasks. For the 12 town strategy you need 12 additional tasks, and so on. So that means you need to do 1 more town, but this town you do not need to complete. And you only need to play it until you get these tasks that you need. And for that you only need these managers here. You can see that some of these have a star behind them. This means that they are not required for the tasks, but I recommend them in order to automate the buildings. So here you can see how many managers you need for the final town. And again, you don't have to complete this. Alright, with that, let's move on to my recommended strategy, which is going for a speedrun strategy, but also trying to get a full Druid Temple. And this boils down to this update here. You always get the Druid Temple as an option, which means that if you complete 10 towns, you can get up to 10 Druid Temple selection kits from the after town boxes. You will get it 10 times, so the only thing that might prevent you from getting all the 10 is if you have to spend more pots than you have. So let me go over this, and I've crunched some numbers. I've made a simulation that I will perhaps go over in a little bit. You can see it down here. But based on my testing, with the 10 town strategy, you will have almost a 70% chance of getting 10 selection kits for the Druid Temple for free. That is assuming you have 1250 additional pots beyond the free ones, so 500 from newsletter and 750 from incidents, which I think is quite reasonable. So with those, you will have a 70% chance of getting all the 10 kits. Of course, if you have some kits from last year, or if you get some from the antique dealer, you don't need a full 10, and then you will have a higher chance of getting enough. So here you have that. And also down here you can see one unfortunate side of this. The variance in the number of pots you need in order to get 10 Druid Temple kits is very big. So this blue line here is 12,450 pots, which is the number I had in this simulation. And there you can see that 70% is below that, but there's also a lot above it. And if you are very unlucky, you might have to spend up to, 20,000 pots instead of the 12.5 you get for free. So this is the downside, and the reason for this is that if you have to buy 6 out of 6 boxes multiple times in order to get the 10 Druid kits, then you will be overspending quite a lot. But before I go into that, let me first of all refresh to get the newest version of this. There we go. Updated this a little bit before making this video, but forgot to refresh the page. Anyways, let's go over the strategies, and then I'll go over this plot a little bit later on, going over and explaining it a little bit more. So, if you have the surprise box, my recommendation is doing the 10 town strategy. You open boxes after every town until you get the Druid Temple kit. It's as simple as that. You do have to open 6 out of 6 boxes once if you have the surprise box, which means that even if you do have to buy all 6 boxes, you are fine, you can still do it for free, and you should still be fine if you have to open 6 out of 6 boxes 2 times, or perhaps even 3 times, but if you have to do it more times than that, then you will be overspending. And if you do overspend, you have 2 options. You can either stop spending and just accept that you will get perhaps 8 or 9 instead of 10 upgrade kits, or you can spend some diamonds if you want to, and in a moment I will go over getting 2 Celtic Farmsteads, where you also get 1 Druid Temple. So that might be an option for you. And one interesting thing that I found using my simulation is that when you buy 6 out of 6 boxes, you're actually better off if you buy up to 2 additional boxes in the second set of boxes. This gives you a 33% chance of getting 1 additional Druid kit, but because it's still relatively cheap, the first 2 boxes, even though they are twice as expensive, you are better off. You will have a slightly higher chance of getting enough kits that way. Anyways, with this strategy, you will have 4,700 total pots to spend after towns. This includes the pots you need for opening 6 out of 6 boxes. So keep track of that number and the number of pots you have spent. Also keep track of the number of pots you get from newsletter and incidents. So in total, you might have something around 6,000 pots to spend after these 10 towns. So yeah, keep track of that. Now, if you do not have the event surprise box, then I recommend the 12 town strategy. Here, you only need to get a Druid Temple kit after 10 of the 12 towns. So based on my testing, the best strategy seems to be buying up to 4 boxes in every town. When you get the Druid Temple kit, if you get it before you have opened 4 boxes, you can continue immediately. If you do not get the Druid Temple kit when you have opened 4 boxes, you move on to the next town. You do this the first 2 times it happens. So as I said, you can skip 2 towns. So the first 2 towns where you do not get the Druid Temple kit after 4 boxes, you move on to the next town. Now, if you have skipped 2 towns, then you do need to open all boxes in the remaining towns, or at least open boxes until you get the Druid Temple kit, even if that means opening all 6 boxes. Now, you do need to open all 6 out of 6 boxes once, but interestingly, in my strategies, this was better. Even though you do have to open 6 out of 6 boxes once, skipping 2 towns did perform much better than opening 6 out of 6 boxes the first time you have to spend open more than 4 boxes. With this strategy, again, when you open 6 out of 6 boxes, it also pays off opening up to 2 boxes in the next town. And with this strategy, you will have around 3.3 thousand pots in total to spend after towns. So that is less than what you have here. And again here, you also need to buy 6 out of 6 boxes once. So this does mean you have a lower chance of getting it. You still have a decent chance, still over 50% chance of getting 10 kits for the Druid Temple, but you will have a lower chance here. And of course, you can also add on the pots you get from newsletters and incidents to this pot here. So perhaps around 4.5 to 5,000 pots. So that's how we can get very close to or even a full Druid Temple building. If you don't get all the 10 kits you need, or if you need fewer kits, but if you don't get all, the building has been added to the Antiques dealer, so you can easily get it there if you need to. And also, when going for this strategy, you will get some other rewards like Sentinels and so on, some Celtic Forest kits, so you'll also get other rewards. And if you are spending some diamonds, then you can also do a kind of hybrid where you go for both, for example, Sentinel Outposts and the Druid Temple, spending a few additional diamonds if you need to in order to get enough pots for that. Now, speaking of spending diamonds, let's go over getting 2 Celtic Farmsteads. And by doing this, you will actually, even if you don't want it, you will get very close to, or most likely, very likely, 1 Druid Temple as well. And the reason for that is quite simple. When you do go for 2 Celtic Farmsteads, you will be buying 6 out of 6 boxes close to or above 10 times, which means that you will get 10 kits for the Druid Temple when doing that. So basically, when going for 2 Celtic Farmsteads, it's very simple. You follow the speedrun strategies that I went over, but you buy 6 out of 6 boxes 10 additional times for 1 additional Celtic Farmstead. So doing this, you do need to do 12 or more towns. If you do 10 towns, if we go back to the speedrun strategies here, so if you do 10 towns, you will do 10 towns naturally, but you will have to spend or buy 6 out of 6 boxes once or twice for the first level of the building. That means that you only have 8 or 9 remaining towns, and that is not enough to get 10 more upgrade kits for the building, unless you buy 6 out of 6 boxes from the second set as well, which is more expensive. So that's why I recommend going for 12 or more towns. With a 12 town strategy, you have to open 6 out of 6 boxes 11 times if you do not have the surprise box, or 10 towns if you have the surprise box. With the 14 town one, you have to open it 10 times if you have the surprise box, if you don't have the surprise box, or 9 times if you have the surprise box. And the 17 one, you have to open 9 additional from 6 out of 6 boxes if you do not have the surprise box, or 8 if you do. So yeah, there you have the differences between these strategies. I would go for one of these. And here we can see that you open 9, 10 or 11 times 6 boxes, which means that the minimum you will get is 9 levels for the Druid Temple if you go for 14 town and get this and have the surprise box. But even if you only open 6 boxes 9 times, you can spend some boxes after the remaining 5 towns and get the final Druid Temple level that way. So if you want to, you will get one full Druid Temple by simply going for 2 Celtic Farmsteads. Now in terms of diamond costs, this is actually very appealing in my opinion. Now, depending on if you have the surprise box or not, you will be spending between 13.5 to around 16,000 diamonds. Now, if you have the surprise box, I would probably recommend this or this. You can do this if you have the time, the 17 town strategy, but if you don't have a lot of time, it is quite hectic, so the 14 and 12 ones are much easier. And you can see that the price, even though it's slightly lower for the 17 town strategy, it's not massively lower. So yeah, I would recommend going for one of these if you want to get 2 Celtic Farmsteads. And of course, again, these prices here do not include pots you get from newsletter or incidents. So for every 1.15 pots you get, you can subtract 1 diamond, which means that for me last year I got 1,750 from incidents and newsletter. So that means I could subtract around 1,500 diamonds from this price. So that brings the total cost down to around 12 to 13,000. So yeah, very appealing in my opinion. If you do want to spend some diamonds, I definitely do think this is a good one to do it. You will get 2 Celtic Farmsteads, you will get 1 Druid Temple, and you will also get some Celtic Forest kits, and you will also get some Sentinel outposts. I've said probably between 3 and 6. This will be different from each player, but yeah, something like that. So I definitely think this is a good option if you have some diamonds to spend and if you're not sure where to spend them. Now, if you want to go for more 3 or more Celtic Farmsteads, I have this page on my spreadsheet. Here you can input how many you want, and here it'll calculate how much that will cost you going for one of these 3 strategies. So this first one here is the 14 town strategy, this next one here is a 21 town strategy, and this last one here will be different depending on how many tasks how many towns you complete, or how many farmsteads you want. So if this goes higher, you'll see this goes up above 21, which means you do have to buy some time boosts. So yeah, you can play around with this if you want to. You can include how many pots you have from incidents and so on, if you have the event surprise box or not. And that'll give you an idea of how much it might cost. Though of course this is not, this might be a little bit different for you. You might have to buy some time boosts, for example, which will increase the cost. But yeah, here we can go over some of my recommendations when doing this, if you want to go for more than 3 farmsteads. And yeah, the unique thing about this event is that if you want to go for more than 3, it will cost an increasing amount of diamonds for each additional one. So here you can see the first one costs, or the third one costs 28,000 with this strategy. If you go up to a 4th one, it'll cost 53, so that's a massive jump, much bigger than the jump from 2 to 3. Anyways, let's not dig too deep into that. You can use this if you want to get to 3 or more main buildings. Alright, and that's more or less it. I do want to quickly talk about my simulation though. This is a simulation on how many Druid, or how likely you are to get the Druid Temple kit with a given strategy. So here, the strategy here, you have 10 Druid Temple kits, 1250 additional pots, and you do 10 towns. So that's what these numbers are based on. If, for example, you don't have the surprise box, and you do 12 towns, you need 10 Druid Temple kits, you still have that number of additional pots. This one here, max additional boxes, is how many additional boxes you buy after 2 towns. And this one, maximum number of boxes you open before skipping to next town. That's what I talked about. You only want to open the first 4 boxes, up to 2 times when going for this strategy. So using those numbers, it'll take a little bit to run, but not too long, so we'll do it live. So here it'll say how many average pots is required, which is 12,700, which is very close to the maximum number of pots. And then it'll give you this chart here. So here you can see, let me open it in a new page. Alright, so here you can see that even if you don't have the surprise box, you have around a 60% chance of getting it. But what I really want to show here is if you don't skip towns after the first 4 boxes, if you don't get the Druid Temple kit, if you run it again without skipping, so here by setting it to 6, I'm basically saying skip a town if you have opened more than 6 boxes, but of course there aren't. You can only open 6 boxes, so this won't skip at all. But when doing that, you will see that the chance is actually much lower. I forget how much lower. Yeah, there we go, 43%. So the chance if you do not skip is much lower. And the reason for that is that if you get to 4 out of 4 boxes, and you do continue to open further boxes to get all the 6 you need, because you do need to get 6 boxes once. That means that later on in the event, if you have to open 6 out of 6 boxes again, then you're pretty much guaranteed to overspend. So you're better off skipping the first 2 times and then spending when you have to later on, opening 6 out of 6 boxes. This does mean that you might come to the last town and not have had opened 6 out of 6 boxes yet, which means you do have to open 6 out of 6 boxes then. But overall, you're much more likely to get it for free, 10 Druid Temple kits, if you do skip boxes after the first 4, again up to 2 times. You can only do it 2 times, as I mentioned. You do need to get a Druid Temple kit from 10 towns, so you can only skip it 2 towns. So that's why I would recommend doing this. So I just wanted to go over that in my simulation. Alright, but I think that's all for this video. Hopefully it was interesting. Hopefully I didn't go on too long, but I really wanted to explain this in detail. So hopefully the timestamps and all of that helped you get through to the interesting parts. Alright, before I end this video, I would like to thank my Patreons for supporting me and my new website where you will find this written guide. I would like to thank Homestar, Fort Prefect, Lorden, Merrick B, Arkler, Hugo Count von Count, Jan Fredriksen, Jude the Generous, Filda, Rush, Susan Weiss, Rocco, Henrik de Reclerberg, and Mattia. Thank you all very much for your support. If you want to support me, the link is in the description, but don't feel like you have to. Simply watching, commenting, liking, sharing my content and all of that is more than enough. Alright, that's it for this video. Please check out my other videos if you are interested. Thank you very much for watching, and I will see you in the future.